Dzień dobry, everyone.
Dzień dobry, I'm Max from Canada.
I'm Suji from Thailand.
Apparently, there's a dragon that reportedly lived in Poland over 1,000 years ago.
Huh?
This is a story of Wawel Dragon by
Really?
Charlie in Westeros YouTube channel. You must like Game of Thrones, Westeros. Okay, let's go.
Let's get started.
Hello everyone, it's Charlie here, and today I will not be talking about anything Game of Thrones related, but rather inaugurate a new chapter of my channel with a real-life legend about a dragon my mother told me when I was very little,
Oh.
and her parents told her, and so on and so forth. Chances are if you are of Polish descent or have a parent from Poland, you just might be well acquainted with the legend of the dragon of Wawel Hill. I will spend...
If you know about this dragon, let us know in the comment below.
Yeah.
Smash the like and let us know how is the experience. We have similar tale in Canada, but not with a dragon though. I don't think in Canada we have a rich history of. We don't have any castle and things like this.
What
so.
the tell in Canada you have?
I was too young, I don't remember. But more like fun stuff, or the witch. The witch, we have a lot of the witch story.
In the first half of this video, recounting the story of the dragon as I heard it when I was young, and then in the second half of this video, I will provide a little more insight into the truth behind the story. So, here is the legend of the dragon of Wawel Hill.
Oh.
Over 1,000 years ago, in what would be present-day southwestern Poland, there lived a king who ruled from his castle from the top of a hill. Though the king built a great city by a river on fertile land, he was unaware of a terrible dragon sleeping in a limestone cave under the hill.
Oh.
Before anyone realized what had hit them, the dragon woke from its slumber and began terrorizing the people of the city and the surrounding countryside through demanding weekly offerings of cattle and other livestock. If the people refused, or if the beast was dissatisfied, it would instead eat members of the local population. Through this method, the dragon had decimated a number of other kingdoms already.
Oh, the cattle because they need to eat.
Yeah.
So it said, give me the cattle or I will eat human instead. They need to feed him.
Of other kingdoms already. In vain, the king summoned the bravest and strongest knights and warriors from both inside and outside of the primitive Polish state. Yet, before any of the would-be heroes could even draw their swords, the dragon would engulf them in flames. Having only one daughter to succeed him, and in a last-ditch effort at ridding the dragon from his collapsing realm, the king vowed any who could slay the creature would gain his daughter's hand in marriage and become king in turn. This is when a cobbler's apprentice presented himself. A young man by the name of Krak accepted the challenge.
Krak?
However, Krak was no warrior, nor was he even all that strong. He was, however, quite clever. The young man bought a lamb from a local farmer and stuffed the animal with sulfur before quietly setting it down outside the dragon's den and sneaking away. The dragon eventually emerged from his lair, and upon seeing the delightful snack, ate it without a second thought, unaware of the sulfur inside the lambskin. The substance made the dragon's insides burn, and in an effort to stop the pain, he ran to the nearby river and began to drink and drink the water.
Oh.
Yet no amount of H2O could quench the pain in his stomach. As he continued to drink, the dragon's belly swelled larger and larger until it could no longer contain the water anymore, and he exploded. At last, the kingdom was free from the dragon.
This is crazy story.
Yeah, he's so smart.
It's so well told. The only thing that I can think of that is similar to what I know is like the legend of Beowulf. But it's not really like similar, like in a way. This story is so interesting.
As promised, young Krak married the king's daughter, and after the old king eventually died, he inherited the land. Because Krak had rescued the city from the evil dragon, it was renamed in his honor and continues to bear his name to this very day. And so goes the
We've seen this cross, right?
Yeah.
It's from the arms thing. Yeah, it's the eagle, right? Is it the eagle?
Yeah, look like.
legend behind the naming of Poland's oldest capital, Kraków.
Wait,
However, should you wish
what
to
is
see
Poland's oldest capital?
Krakow.
Okay.
However, should you wish to see the evidence of Krak's brave feat, one of the dragon
Yeah, because
bones
it's near Slovakia. It's near Zakopane, I think. Right? That area, I think.
can still be seen hanging today above the doorway of the local castle's cathedral. Now,
Whoa.
that was the story I was told as a child, but certainly with every myth and legend there are many fictions and some truths behind them.
Oh.
And of course some mysteries which remain. For one thing, there are many different versions of this tale, just as there are many debates understandably surrounding its authenticity. Was there really a dragon? Is this truly how Kraków got its name? What other versions of the story exist? I will seek to answer at least some of these questions in the remaining portion of this video.
We know that dinosaurs exist, right? I have no problem believing that dragon could have existed.
Yeah.
Even though there's no, it's more like a, usually we talk about dragon as like more like a mythology and stuff like this. I mean, look, dinosaurs were massive. Some of them were flying. Some of them were like, why a dragon cannot exist? Is it that different from a dinosaur?
Yeah, because these days you still can see the lizard and have the wing that it can fly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like some kind of snake can fly too.
Yeah.
Maybe like back then they were so big, and these days they're trying to make them so small.
Because I know that some type of crocodile are descendant of the dinosaur in some way.
So let's start with the other versions and the origins of this legend. As far as we know, the oldest written telling of the story comes from an early 13th century bishop of Kraków, Vincente Kadłubek. According to him, the dragon in fact appeared during the reign of a legendary king also named Krak.
Well, to be fair, if it's only in the 13th century, that's not long ago. I think it's hard to believe that something like this would exist and we would not have like any remain anywhere. Because usually they found fossil, right? They found the bones. That's what they know. They found the bone of dinosaur even, you know. So,
But you notice the dragon with the wing always exists with the white people.
oh,
Yeah, but in our like Asian country, we not really have the dragon with the wing like that. Or like in China, the dragon that we call dragon will look like snake, right? Very long, long one.
Well, you have similar legend in Thailand, but the anaconda is like 20 meters long. It doesn't exist, like, you know, impossible that it's so long. So maybe like...
So, like...
So you're saying that it's fake? Because
No!
if it was real, it would be like everywhere, right? Not just where people believe in religion.
Yeah, I mean, like, I mean, it's supposed to fly, like, because it can fly, right? It's supposed to be able to go really far. So, a lot of people in this world should see it before, things like that. Not just in, like, the European country.
Yeah.
Rather than summon knights to kill the beast, however, he called upon his two sons, Lech and Krak II, to take care of it. In this version, the two brothers were the ones who came up with the same trick to kill the dragon as in my mother's version. The trouble was that once the dragon was killed, the two brothers argued over who deserved the honor of slaying the beast. During the argument, the older brother Lech killed his younger brother. As a result, he went out and told the people that it was the dragon who was responsible for his brother's death. However, when his father died and Lech became king, his secret was revealed, and he was dethroned as a result.
Oh.
The city was therefore named in honor of his dead brother, and as a result, the earlier king's third child, a daughter named Wanda, inherited the kingdom.
The
A
Wanda?
later 15th century chronicler by the name of Jan Długosz presents a similar tale, only that it was in fact the younger brother who killed the older, and that this occurred only after their father, the old king, had died.
Oh.
Now, the version you heard me tell is in fact largely influenced by a 16th century poet named Marcin Bielski. In this version, the old king was the one named Krak, and his city of Kraków was named after him. The dragon, however...
Oh, Krakow. I just remember that's why the city is named Krakow.
Oh, you just realized.
Yes, sorry. I did not, that's why you were reacting earlier. I did not make the...
Seriously?
Appeared during his reign one day, and especially enjoyed eating young maidens, resulting in the townsfolk being forced to sacrifice a young woman to the dragon once every month, until none remained but the king's own daughter. It was then that a cobbler's apprentice named Scuba came forth and killed the dragon in the same manner as the other versions detail, eventually marrying the king's daughter and living happily ever after. In spite of these different versions, however, I have still not discussed the origin of the dragon. Of course,
You
there.
saw that in another video with the real statue, right? It's near a castle, right?
Yeah.
They have two of them, I think, near the castle. It's on top. Is it on top of like a rock?
The hill?
The hill, something? Yeah.
Is no concrete evidence to say that there actually was a dragon that resided in primeval Poland. Some say the tale is influenced by the biblical story of Daniel and the Babylonian dragon. However, many believe the dragon of Wawel tale has its own pre-Christian origins. Many see the dragon as a symbol or metaphor for evil as a whole. Others believe the dragon is a symbol of an enemy tribe of Avars taking the local population away as tribute. And others still interpret the story as a reminder of human sacrifices that are a part of an older, unknown myth. But what of the supposed dragon bones hanging above the cathedral in Krakow? Are they truly dragon bones? They are, in fact, found to be the remains of some prehistoric Pleistocene creature, likely a whale or a mammoth. Whatever their origin, they are believed by many still to be magical in nature. And if you are hoping to glimpse any other reminder of the dragon, its cave is now a popular tourist stop with a metal and fire-breathing sculpture of the dragon standing in front of the old den. As such, whether or not the dragon of Wawel truly existed, his legacy remains quite important in Poland to this day. But what do you think? Was there ever such a dragon?
For me, I think when you guys talk about dragon, you not really like mix it with like God story or like religion story, is it?
No.
Thing like that, like a god. Like for example, in Thailand, when we talk about a big snake, we call Naga. Like in the Buddhist story, they are considering like they are half animal, half god, thing like that.
Oh.
And also they have magic. Compared to the dragon seems like doesn't have magic at all.
Well, it can.
Yeah, but it
Fire?
can have fire. But my Naga, he had everything. They can even turn to be a man, like whatever that they want it to be. Like they can create the rain, thing like that.
He's not that big, right?
Oh, listen, yeah.
I mean, it looked like a dinosaur. When you talk about a dragon looks very similar to a dinosaur.
True.
Except like they are bigger.
Yeah, and have wing.
Well, some dinosaurs can fly.
Yeah,
the
but-
Triceratops or whatever.
Oh, but they cannot. Wait,
I think they were the last one to die. The one
Yeah.
that could fly, the dinosaur could fly.
but they are small though compared to the dragon. The dragon, they're really big and they can fly.
Well, it depends. Look, this one is not that big. I mean, I think dragon can have different size, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's an
So,
interesting video.
did people found any like bone, like real thing?
I think that's the thing. I don't think so. Like he said it's probably mammoth or a big whale.
Oh, yeah.
Because remember that historically the elephant come from the mammoth, right? And the mammoth were a lot bigger, but I think they got extinct at the same time as the dinosaur.
Yeah.
All of them got extinct and reset. So,
Yeah.
but these stories are from less than 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was
And
quite
it's
interesting.
also love to eat what? The sheep? Thing like
Well,
that.
if you don't take the sheep, they can take the human. But that means that they can talk.
Yeah. But sometimes like it seems real because it eat like a normal animal. Like it had like special food, like particular food, right? Like they eat meat, thing like that.
Yeah, and honestly, I believe in that kind of stuff, even though I'm not religious. Do you know why? Because we don't know anything about the ocean. We cannot even go deep enough to know all the things that exist in the ocean. Maybe there's like a huge thing in the ocean, very, very deep, that can control the whole ocean and we don't even know. There's no way to communicate back then except writing. So, I mean, anyway, that was fun. It's just a more fun story like this. Maybe in a movie or a documentary or something. Or a little animation. So, yeah, thank you for watching. See you very soon.